Have you ever wondered how the banknotes we use every day are made? Behind every note you keep in your wallet lies a surprising industrial process, from the design filled with historical symbols to the printing with special counterfeit-proof inks. We're going to enter high-security factories where enormous machines transform simple sheets of paper into real money. Every year, in every corner of the planet, more than 150 billion banknotes are printed. This figure, which seems impossible to imagine, is equivalent to moving more than $5 trillion in the global economy. Translated into pesos or other national currencies, this amounts to a mountain of money circulating in the pockets, wallets, ATMs, and cash registers of millions of people. The design of a banknote is the first major step, and perhaps one of the most important. At first glance, we might think it's simply a matter of deciding the color, number, and portrait that will appear on it. However, the reality is much deeper. The banknote is a visual representation of a country's identity. Design teams are made up of artists, graphic engineers, engravers, and security experts. They use advanced 3D software and digital modeling tools to create an initial draft. This first version defines the banknote's size, predominant colors, font, illustration style, and of course the central figure that will be engraved forever. Portraits are a key element. In the United States, for example, we find presidents and historical leaders like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Benjamin Franklin. In Mexico, national heroes like Benito Juárez and Emiliano Zapata are often depicted. In other countries, writers, artists, cultural symbols, or emblematic monuments appear. Each choice conveys a message. The banknote is not just money. It is also a cultural and political narrative in miniature. In addition to the visual aspect, the design includes hundreds of invisible security measures, from watermarks and microtext to elements that are only revealed under ultraviolet light or inks that change color when the bill is tilted. The intention is one, to make counterfeiting practically impossible. Once the digital design is approved, it is transferred to a steel plate. There, specialized engravers use microscopic tools to carve the details that will later be printed on millions of banknotes. One of the most common myths is that banknotes are made of ordinary paper. In reality, they're made from a blend of cotton and linen, which gives them a unique texture and is much more durable than a simple piece of office paper. This material arrives at factories in the form of enormous coils or rolls, each weighing more than a ton. This isn't just any blank sheet of paper. Colored fibers, metallic threads, invisible security patterns, and in some cases even embedded holograms are incorporated into the material's production process. Upon arrival at the plant, these rolls are placed in automatic machines that unwind them precisely. They then pass through a slitter that divides the material into large sheets, each perfectly sized to hold up to 32 bills. But before moving on, each batch of sheets undergoes an initial quality control check. Optical sensors verify the thickness, texture, alignment, and chemical composition of the material. If any sheet doesn't meet exact specifications, it's discarded. Only the perfect ones continue to the next stage. Once the sheets are ready, the printing process begins. This is where the banknote really begins to take shape. The first step is offset printing, which places the background colors, geometric shapes, and basic patterns. This gives the banknote its first visual layer, the one we see with the naked eye. Next comes intaglio printing, considered the most sophisticated part. In this technique, the sheets pass through engraved steel plates that apply ink with enormous pressure. This not only transfers the design, but also leaves a tactile relief, the kind we all feel when we run our fingers over the numbers or portraits on a real banknote. A single intaglio press can print 10,000 sheets per hour, equivalent to more than 300,000 banknotes in 60 minutes. Everything is done with pinpoint precision. If even one detail is out of place, the entire sheet is discarded. At the end of this phase, the sheets already resemble authentic banknotes. However, they still lack the most important thing, their unique identity. Up to this point in the process, all the printed sheets are exactly the same. Each one contains dozens of banknotes with the same portraits, colors, and security patterns. However, for a banknote to be considered valid and unique, it requires one fundamental element: its serial number. This is where a machine known as a numbering machine comes into play, designed to print an individual code on each banknote. These numbers are like a fingerprint. No two are alike in the world, ensuring that each unit is unique and can be tracked within the financial system. The complexity is enormous, as we're talking about billions of combinations that must be generated to cover global circulation without repeating any. The numbering is not done with ordinary ink. Magnetic inks are used, which can be detected and verified by banking machines when sorting or counting money. Fluorescent inks are also used, which are invisible to the naked eye but glow brightly under ultraviolet light, adding an extra layer of security that makes counterfeiting difficult. At the same time, the numbering is printed. Official seals are affixed, identifying the issuing authority. In the case of the US dollar, this includes the green seal of the Treasury Department and the black seal of the Federal Reserve. In other countries, the seals vary, but they always represent the legitimacy of the currency and the institution that backs it. Accuracy at this stage is critical. If a number appears incomplete, misaligned or blurred, or if a stamp is not perfectly positioned, the entire sheet is considered defective. There is no tolerance. An imperfect note must never be circulated. In this way, thanks to the numbering and stamps, each bill acquires its official identity, becoming unique, verifiable, and recognized as legitimate money. Once the inks have been applied for intaglio printing and serial numbering, a critical phase begins that ensures the durability and impeccable appearance of each banknote: drying. Unlike ordinary inks, those used in money production are much denser and contain special compounds that give them wear resistance, visible and invisible security effects, and a characteristic relief that can be felt by touch. Precisely because of their complexity, these inks require very specific treatment before the material can be safely handled. To achieve this, the sheets pass through controlled drying tunnels, where temperature, humidity, and air currents are adjusted with millimeter precision. It's not simply a matter of blowing hot air. Each banknote must be dried without the material losing flexibility or flattening the embossing. This process may seem simple, but maintaining uniform conditions for thousands of moving sheets is a highly technical task. Once the ink is fully set, one of the most stringent stages of the entire production chain begins: quality control. Here, the highest standards are met. Each sheet is scanned by ultra-high-resolution optical systems that detect even the smallest imperfections. Everything is checked: the intensity and tone of the colors, the sharpness of the portraits, the correct placement of the reliefs, the visibility of the watermarks, the presence of microtexts, and the accuracy of the serial numbers. However, the inspection doesn't depend solely on machines. After automated scanning, a team of specialized technicians manually examines each batch of sheets. Experience and the human eye are capable of detecting anomalies that even the most advanced digital systems can miss, such as a slight variation in texture or an error in the application of embossing. The result of this control is overwhelming. Approximately 95% of the sheets pass the process without incident, but any banknote with a defect, no matter how small, is immediately discarded and destroyed to prevent it from entering circulation. The rule is simple: the money that reaches the people's hands must be perfect, without exception. Once all the stages of printing, numbering, drying, and quality control have been completed, the sheets with banknotes still attached must be converted into individual units. This is where one of the most delicate steps begins: cutting and subsequent packaging. Each sheet, which typically contains 32 printed banknotes, is fed into a high-precision industrial cutter. This machine, equipped with automated blades and laser sensors, divides the sheets into columns and then rows, ensuring that each banknote has the exact measurements and perfectly aligned edges. Error tolerance is practically zero. 1 millimeter out of place could ruin hundreds of banknotes in seconds. The speed of these machines is impressive. In just 1 hour, they can transform more than 300,000 bills into individual units ready for circulation. The entire process is monitored by digital systems that constantly verify the sharpness of the cut and the correct alignment of the material. Once separated, the banknotes are not scattered randomly. They are grouped in an orderly manner into bundles of 100 bills, which facilitate counting and handling. These bundles are then pressed and compacted into larger blocks, which receive control numbers and an official seal that guarantees their authenticity and allows their origin to be traced. The immediate destination of these blocks is a maximum security depository, where they will remain under strict surveillance until they are transferred to banks, ATMs, or central reserves. This step is essential to maintaining the order and traceability of millions of banknotes that will soon become part of our daily economy. The final stage of the process is the one that finally gives meaning to all the previous work, putting the finished banknotes into motion. Before they reach our hands, the bundles of banknotes grouped into blocks spend time in high-security underground vaults. These spaces, reminiscent of something out of a movie, feature constant surveillance systems. Cameras monitoring every angle, restricted access with multiple levels of authentication, motion sensors, and armed personnel guarding every inch of the premises. Sums of cash totaling hundreds of billions can be stored there, ready to be released whenever the economy requires it. When the time comes, the distribution process begins. The blocks of banknotes are loaded into armored trucks specially designed to withstand attacks or robbery attempts. These vehicles, often escorted by security forces, head to central banks, bank branches, ATMs, and authorized financial institutions. Each transfer is precisely planned to minimize any risk, as even a single shipment can represent a fortune. Once at their destination, the banknotes are sorted again and made available to the financial system. Some are used to supply ATMs, others are delivered to tellers to meet customer demand, and a portion may be reserved to bolster circulation in areas with higher cash flow. In this way, that piece of material that was initially nothing more than a blank sheet of paper is transformed into real money, ready to enter circulation. In a matter of days, it moves from an industrial, highly secure environment to your pocket, where you can use it to buy a cup of coffee, pay for a service, or save it. A silent but fundamental process that sustains the day-to-day life of the entire economy. And that's how a simple digital design becomes one of the most used and valuable objects on the planet. From the special paper loaded with security fibers to the embossed printing, the unique serial numbers, and the utmost quality control, each banknote undergoes a process steeped in technology and precision. The next time you hold one in your hands, you'll know it's not just a means of payment. It's the result of a complex process designed to ensure trust, durability, and security for the economy of an entire country.